Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is William, and I'm the legal counsel of the Hong Kong Art Gallery Association. For our final session of the symposium, we're very privileged to have a group of diverse and impressive group of panelists joining us today who will share their thoughts on looking to the future, art, innovation, and technology. The panel will be moderated by Ms. Su-Mei Thompson, CEO of the Women's Foundation, a leading NGO here in Hong Kong. As we all know, Su-Mei has been recognized as one of the most powerful and influential thought leaders in Hong Kong for her impactful work in media and gender issues. Over to you, Su-Mei.
Thank you so much, William. Hi, wow, full house on a Saturday, almost end of day. Welcome, everyone, and thank you, Katie, for inviting me to moderate this final panel. And of course, we have saved the best for the last. So over the past few decades, art and technology have become more and more integrated, whether it's by providing new ways to mix different types of media, or making the process of creating art much easier, or allowing for more human interaction and a richer consumer experience. But with that growing plethora of formats, how do we evaluate what is good art? What impact will the dawning of virtual reality technology and wearables have on how we consume art? Will the digital ever entirely replace the physical? And how are museums coping with the funding challenges of keeping up with the latest advances in technology? Okay, so those are really big and challenging questions, and thankfully we have a fantastic panel of global superstars to discuss them. So you have our panelists' bios in your program, but by way of very quick introduction, please join me in welcoming Yana Peel. Welcome Yana home to Hong Kong. She is CEO of the Serpentine Galleries in London, and very well known to us in Hong Kong, of course, for her work with Intelligence Squared and Parasite. We also have Jiyoon Lee, Managing Director of the National Modern and Contemporary Art Museum in Seoul. She's a leading art historian, curator, and lecturer on the subject of the creative industries and art management. And last but really not least, we have Takashi, Kudo, and Katsu Nonaka of teamLab in Tokyo. teamLab is an art collective of multidisciplinary ultra-technologists who aspire to transcend the boundaries between art, science, technology, and creativity through co-creative projects. So the format for this session is that we're going to have a bit of a chat, and then we're going to open up to questions and comments from the floor. And I promised the organizers that we would bring this in about 55 minutes by 5:45. Okay? Right. Okay, so let's start with Takashi and Katsu. So let's start with you. How have artists and the creative process been impacted by technology? And one of the things that you guys are really hot on is collaboration. So tell us about some of the projects you're most excited about.
Okay, so hello, this is Takashi from teamLab. Actually, it's a little bit, and I need to explain it, who we are. We are like around 400 to 500 art collective, and today it's two of us. It came to here. It's 400, a little bit too many people. So anyway, it's what we are making. It's we're making it art. And using it digital and the technologies. And the digital or it's a technology, it's for us, it's like more like a material or it's a tool. And as we believe if we use it a digital, we can extend it art or it's a beauty itself. And it's and we can make it a little bit more new potential and stuff. It's I want to show you one artwork. ちょっと待って。これじゃなくて。Yeah. Just a moment. Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, I can see that. I didn't know that. And I have just only this one. This is an artwork. It's called a Flower and Peoples. Yeah. So this one is a reprojection on a floor or it's a wall. Actually, it's technically anywhere we can make it flowers. And this flower was born and growing up. And it's it's like life, and it's we teamLab also cannot control where they came from. And the point is, it's if audience are it's inside with it in our artworks, you can be it's one part of its artworks. If you didn't move, it's around you. There is a flower going to showing up. it means that you can create new life. And if you touch or if you move fast, you can accelerate of their life. So it's, the battle is gone and they're gonna die, but it's the most beautiful moment it's gonna be. And the point is, as I told you, it's, we think it's a digital can extend with its beauty or it's an art itself, and it thinks is we can change the relationship between art and the human, or it's a human and it's the world. First time we showed it's a flower and the people at New York. And the first time we showed this artworks. It was at Japan Society in New York. I remember it was 2 years ago. It was very interesting things. As I told you, this installations is, if you were touched our artworks, the flower is gone, and it means the flower gonna die. So the things first times is we made these openings. There is too many people came, so it's all the flower died. And there is like in 2-3 minutes, nothing happens. And everybody thought it's like, what's happened? And after that, I still remember, one guy came to me and he told me, there is too many people in these rooms. So he asked to the other people and say, let's go to the other part. And coming back later. And when he brought some people and it's moved to the other rooms, and it's happened, started to happen in the flowers. And it was like a very beautiful moment, I felt at least. And it was like the people think about some other people. It's a little bit positively. And it's a timing that we thought we can maybe change the relationship even between art and the people and the people and the people. This is like another sample. I'm super not against of that, but this is famous. It's like art. And it's in the Louvre museums. There is one like a Mona Lisa. I'm not against the Mona Lisa, but it's this is perfect, beautiful artworks. It's like the relationship between the Mona Lisa and me. It's one by one. How I feel was important, and it's too much perfect. So we cannot change the this perfect artworks. So fundamentally, existence of these other people gonna be annoyed me. I really want to see by myself. If I could see without other people, I feel lucky. But, and this one, next page there. But our artworks is, you can enjoy by yourself, but with other people gonna be more beautiful. For example, like it's a kids. If kids was running inside with our artwork, it's a flower it's flying around, so it's gonna be much more, it's a beautiful moment. If the kids was running in like Louvre Museum, maybe some people are going to be annoyed. And also another picture, it was very fun. And we showed it at the Search Gallery in last year's, and it was very hard to install. I didn't sleep 2 days, and when we finished the installing, I passed out on the floors, and I slept on the floor like 1 hour. And my friend took a picture and it's an Instagram on the. On the Facebook, and many people, put the like buttons. And I'm 39 years old, and 2 days didn't sleep, and I slept on the artworks, and I became beautiful. And just imagine, if I slept, or if 39 years old guy slept in front of the Mona Lisa, after 2 seconds, he will kick out. And what I believe, if yes. If we use a digital material, maybe we can change the relationship. We can be a little bit positive to the other people's. That's through our artworks, what we want to make.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And let's move from the artist to institutions that collect and curate and promote art. So Jiyoon and Yana, what is the impact of technology, right, on your institutions? And what are the most innovative museums doing nowadays? So Jiyoon, let's start with you. How is technology impacting MMCA, and in particular, your commissioning strategy?
Okay, so the image is going to be presented here? Okay, this one? Hello. Well, I think it's really, broad questions, about the art and technology and how, technology is really engaging in contemporary art practice right now. Well, there are many aspects maybe we can, questioning and then discuss about it. But, as an example, as an institutional approach to, how to adapt to this new technology can be used and can be, helpful, for artists to do so. In that sense, what we are doing at the moment in MMCA, I'd like to give a couple of examples. Well, MMCA, as you know that, we have, opened a new gallery 3 years ago. And then we are 100% dependent on national budget. So around, $50 million US, we are, given, from the government. So in that sense, I talk to, many Western institutional, friends, and they think, it's really, good thing. Of course, it is a good thing, but it is also very severe governmental the institution. So somehow it has lots of limit to spend the money. It sounds really perfect to have that general budget to spend, but which is not the case. So and also we have actually built a new space which has a really vast and like a 50-meter height and very diversified space is available. But we were thinking to making one artwork, maybe one painting, one video work, it doesn't really cover the space. And many artists, they say that, well, I like to work with this space and they like to make something new. So museum as a producer, as a factory, we have to do that role as well. But at the same time, with a big budget, from the government funding, but we could not be really able to, execute it. So, when we, set up our museum, luckily we really, start to appreciate the corporations in Korea. Luckily in last 10 years, Korean, corporations are very, start to open their mind. And as you know, the Hyundai Motors, they are taking over the sponsorship of the Unilever in Tate Modern. So, they are sponsors, for Tate, Turbine Hall project. At the same time, MMCA, Hyundai Motor Series, and LACMA, program. So we really, start to approaching to these, corporations, and we like to, be a main producers for commissioning project. Giving some sort of, opportunities for artists to develop some ideas. And of course, it doesn't necessarily to be focused on technology only, but if this kind of, the media, possibility given for the artist, they can, think further. And sometimes, they can get some idea, from the, different, technology, embedded, which they never been able to imagine because of the cost and because of any other, reasons. So, we have like 4 very major big commission project. 3 is, commission, for the contemporary artist, 1 for the architect project. So, this first image is about Li-Bul installation, is a city of Soleil. Of course, I do not want to talking about only, digitally or technology just used as being medium for the artwork. But when, Li-Bul, produced, this work, she, is the opposite thing. She didn't use the 3D printing whatsoever. She actually produced all this, large installation. 60 people get together, drawing, making a drawing and cut it, all this, Iceland, like acrylic, panels, making an installation. And then, inviting very special lighting specialists, to make the Cities of Soleil, project. And this is also, one of the sculptures she produced as a first commission at the MMCA in year 2014. This is, Obad, that was, her, second series of Obad 2. And this, sculpture, these all images, from the early 20th century, avant-garde, architecture model, she actually adapted idea and developed into very, futuristic and, sculptures. And this sculpture actually brought a very, interesting, STEAM coming out from the machine, out of the water. So that kind of evaporation of the steam really fill the whole space. So people can really, walking around and enjoy, this different kind of sensory, experiences, out of this sculpture. Somehow this used a little bit of technology, and then with this, funding, she could really, enlarge the size of the work. But but somehow technology is not that kind of high technology used, rather very low tech. But this kind of low tech also can be much more innovatively used to produce a very unique contemporary works. And this is sort of the images I'm showing to you. This is one of the sculpture by An Yu-chul, also part of the Hyundai Motor series. And then he's the artist who makes lots of exhibition with a very, very small medium or drawing used, because his idea is very sometimes absurd and questioning of the society, but very interesting sculptures. Always made in a very smaller scale, but this time he was seriously working with the architect, contractors, structure calculators. So he produced this kind of beautiful round ball sculpture, and inside it's like an echoing space. I'm sorry I couldn't bring some of the images of the experiences of inside. So that sort of new experiences artists can making true. This is one of the architect project we are doing with the MoMA in New York. So YAP project, which has been started in 1998 in MoMA, finding a new talent in architecture, also with the concept of rest shade water. The young architect was received that commission, making a pavilion. This is the pavilion Korean very young architect group produced. This is actually standing with the wind. The wind pump is constantly running, and then a little bit of evaporation with water is spreading over under the lawn. So that sort of, well, it looks like a very highly technology embedded works, but I kept telling you that in this era, I think some of the high technology can be used for the production, but this kind of access to new expression with a new medium can be used with a supporting of the some of cooperation support, but at the same time well, very low tech orientated. Well, this is more, seriously engaging with the digital medium. I think, this Julius Pop installation. This, water, continuously keeps down, from each four, the structure. So, because the words actually, capturing the most frequent word in the Google, they are capturing, and then they're showing, this, water drops as a bitfall, as new information. So, this kind of, big installation, we also, make it, possible with also Korean Air sponsorship project, but at the same time, really, making, possible of this new project. So this is one of the, approach. We are really, trying to give a opportunity for artists to try to access to this new technology-based medium, or if it is not that high technology, but innovative approach, and creating new concept for their idea into a practice.
Thank you so much, Jiyoon. Thank you for sharing those exciting projects. So Yana, over to you. You were recently invaded by Pokemon Go enthusiasts. How did that feel? And can you tell us about your digital strategy and commitment to innovation at the Serpentine?
Fantastic. Yes, it was a wonderful welcome to London, and I'm thrilled to be back in Hong Kong. In fact, I'm thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled to be anywhere outside of my office after the first 90 days as the CEO of the iconic Serpentine Galleries in Hyde Park. As you can imagine, in terms of what CEO even means in the artistic industry in London, that is a term of innovation in itself. And I convinced my team of 65 in London that it could only stand for one thing, and that was chief eternal optimist. And I think that's really what I am in terms of the role of technology in making culture deeper, not shallower, in terms of how we plan it at the galleries. I think when you come in on a new platform and you're focusing between transition and innovation, you often find that you are building the plane while you are flying it. So I'm incredibly grateful that it was someone else that got me here on Cathay from London several hours ago. But with that said, I think coming in on that platform, what you're really looking at is what is the Malthusian pyramid in terms of what digital means across your organization. At the top, of course, you have what you see as the tip of the iceberg. So it was fighting to bring Wi-Fi into the pavilion. It was working to bring mobile tours onto the exhibitions that we had this summer. It was thinking creatively about how to enhance the Zaha Hadid exhibition that we have in December of her most intimate paintings and drawings, and how to bring in partners like Google who could take us to new places with VR. We have the fortune of having Michael Bloomberg as our chairman, so it's tremendous to also have the benefit of insight from Bloomberg Philanthropies and to see how technology day by day can really enhance the experience for the viewers and for the artists. But the first question that my digital curator asked me when I came in, he sat down and he said, Yana, what is the role of art in a world that is eaten by software? And I thought, could you ask me something easier on day one? But, it's good to start with the most challenging thoughts. And so what I'll show you is several slides that also just show that apart from the Wi-Fi, apart from the mobile engagement, apart from the digital commissions, we're also thinking about what innovation, what digital mean as an attitude. What does it mean to be open source? What does it mean to share data? What does it mean to collaborate? What does it mean as a non-collecting institution to really think about how to not just be a place where art is shown, but a place where those types of really, really ambitions are born? So for us, in terms of innovation in digital, as I show you the strands, it's really thinking about how you create the art that's right here and right now. And of course, at the core of that is the architecture and this beautiful magazine that was built 3 years ago by our dear, cherished and missed friend Zaha Hadid, who was a long-standing trustee of the galleries and who said there should be no end to experimentation. And I think that is a beautiful line that my partner Hans Ulrich and I have really channeled in terms of making that a mantra for our work. There should be no end to experimentation, and our architectural program certainly reflects that. Now, this was one big pavilion. Quite literally, big architects, Bjarke Ingels Group, created this extraordinary unzipped wall this summer, which was 1,803 fiberglass bricks, which really attracted the visitor that might not otherwise come. 300,000 people did visit. It might have been the Wi-Fi. It might have been the Pokemon. But we certainly know it was also the incredible innovation and experimentation and this commitment to architecture, which now is something, of course, that Hans Ulrich and I are very excited to carry on. What I brought with me to the galleries was a spirit of how we can make this process more democratic, how we can open up and perhaps hack ourselves as we look at the future of the architectural pavilion. And what that means is that last week we brought in our board member, newly appointed since I arrived, David Ajay. We brought in Richard Rogers, who's been a long friend of the galleries and who's so well known here in Hong Kong. And we invited a group of architects to submit proposals. And from those proposals, we're now working towards a pavilion that will not only serve as a great object of beauty, but will also be an embassy, will also be a space where we could have shared workforce, we can have impermeability, and hopefully have a congress of ideas, which is also a place where the physical and the digital will overlay, which I guess was the great excitement with Pokemon Go until Pokemon Gone became the mantra of the day. Of course, in terms of innovation, in terms of digital, at the very core of that is the programming. And that is a question that we think about each day. What can we offer the artist? What can we offer the audience that, I guess, the commercial gallery and other partners can't? And for us, that means really engaging with new audience. I saw this morning in the press that Google was saying that the driverless car is not just a better car, it's a better driver. So I think we're thinking in terms of what the Kunsthalle is beyond 2016. How do we not just create a better museum, but how do we create a better experience? And for us, that means, for example, opening in December with an exhibition of Zaha Hadid's work, but one that is totally unexpected. So it's the paintings, it's the drawings, it's the notebooks that have never been seen, and it's bringing the virtual reality into this, on which Google engineers have been working with us from the Cultural Institute in Paris to really try to push the architects and to enable the tools within the gallery that will have the 5 headsets when you hopefully visit us on December 7th, but will also enable to go the art and artists further than they could go on their own. Of course, there's also the digital commissions. We were just talking about the fact that one strand, of course, has to be the fact that artists like James Bridle come and promise that they can predict the future of the US elections by looking at US weather patterns. And I guess it's interesting to think about the physicist Dennis Gabor, who said futures cannot be predicted, but they can be evented. And here James Bridle will challenge us and try to predict the future. And I guess that challenge is what artists do for us each and every day. He follows Ian Cheng, another artist who is the third in our digital commission series. And it's in the spirit that we also create the programming, the 60 live events, which also engage the viewers, which are there in the physical domain, but which also mean that the 24-hour marathon, for which the Serpentine, Hans Ulrich Obrist, Rem Koolhaas have become so known, it also means that this year we had 24 hours, and the innovation were that the first 12 were in the magazine. There we are in an experiment with Marcus de Soto, bringing science and art and performance, social sculpture, very Boysian there together. And in the next day, we had the 12-hour marathon on radio. So for the first time, we also downloaded this onto podcasts. We got as great reach as we could, recognizing that, of course, we are there for the 1.2 million visitors who do cross our threshold, but also for the visitor who might never have the chance to come. And I guess Gilbert and George was another innovation. That was Facebook Live for us. Again, attracted very exciting and new numbers. And we do, of course, use all of these platforms, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, for different purposes almost. They could never supplant the physical experience, but they could sure bring Gilbert and George and their fuckosophy to audiences who might not otherwise have the benefit of knowing what that might be. So you know where to find them online if you are too curious about the performance that Gilbert and George did for us just 3 weeks ago during Freeze. I think with all of that said, there is also the distinct need for the art space to be a place of sanctuary. And I think that's a balance that all of us think about, and that was beautifully represented in a book by Virginia Heffernan called Magic and Loss. So I think, we had Grayson Perry in the galleries telling him how excited we were about the mobile tours that would accompany his exhibition when he was going to make the most popular art show ever next summer. And he said, well, when I want them to look down on my mobile app during my exhibition, I want them to say, look at the effing art. And I think from that perspective, we really want to make sure that while we are creating this enhanced digital reach, while we're creating all kinds of experiences, we're also appreciating the sanctity and the miracle. And it was A.C. Clarke that said that the most advanced technology is indistinguishable from miracle and magic. And I guess that's the delicate balance that each of us are trying to achieve with technology, innovation, and the arts.
Woohoo. Thank you. Round of applause, I think, for these incredible panelists. Okay, guys, so a couple of questions for us to discuss as a panel and then over to the floor. So with the endless new technologies now of fabrication, remixing, editing, manipulating, and then the internet as a distribution platform, it is becoming easier and easier to create art and then to share it. But this room in particular of artists and artists, collectors, and experts know that not all art is good art. But with so many new tools and techniques, is there a risk that going forward, we're all going to lose our bearings and lose that ability to evaluate what is good and what is bad?
It's me personally. It's I think it's so we believe that it's creativity is very important, and it's for us is much better than before. It means everybody can create. This is very nice situations, and it's for example when we made some digital work, it's maybe our work is completely digital, so in minutes, a little bit cheaper than can make it physical things. If you're gonna create some a car, maybe you need to make it a big factories, and you need 5,000 people, and make it some car. But our work is still if you had imagination and just 400 people, and we can create. And the things is now today is there is very much possibility for everybody. If like a program, everybody can program. If you had Mac and some 2-3 more people, and we can create some things, and we have opportunity to show to the people on YouTube or anything. And these things is at least I feel it's very positive situations, and it's good art or bad art is we really don't know. It's for us we need to focus to create something. And maybe they can decide, or or people can decide it's good art or it's bad art in the future or something like that.
If I may jump in, just building on what we were talking about, of course, the physical manifestation of digital art is one sense of innovation, but we mustn't forget that artists like Nam June Paik, like Bruce Nauman, in terms of the innovation that they pushed forward, were just, of course, as meaningful as some of the work we're seeing today. So I think we see it in terms of small revolutions. The paint tube in 1841 was an incredible small revolution by John Gaufrand that enabled Impressionism to follow. I came yesterday from the LV Museum in Paris, where they brought the Shukin exhibition reunited for the first time. And there you saw how modernism brought to Russia led to suprematism, led to a trajectory towards Rodchenko, towards Malevich, and that in these small revolutions, you see this trajectory that means that, of course, Hito Steyerl is incredibly innovative, but Tino Segal at Palais de Tokyo and what he's doing in terms of furthering performance art is just an incredible amount of innovation that doesn't have to happen on your screen. So I think there's two ways of looking at it. The creation, of course, of art on a digital platform, and then the use of the digital platform to extend the experience of art.
I also agree, with Yana just, mentioned that. And also, when I was given this kind of questions, I was wondering whether I can just, start to explain about what kind of, education program using the digital media and digital, devices, in our operation. Maybe, there can be, technology can be used as a medium for sharing the contents of what we are producing it. But I think, if I am, but what I was preparing for, the artwork, the artists at this, era, when they were sometimes given for a certain very, high technology, art, high technology, medium such as like very super, great 3D printer or, very good projectors and so on. Sometimes they don't, produce the work under the basis of that technology. What is really fascinating with the contemporary artists and good artists, that's where, I can talk about good art. They don't, adapt the technology as their medium, for their practice and their production. The way, they approach it to make something as their new attitude, a very creative, very innovative attitude they brought in with the existing technology was much more interesting, to see. And then under the basis of that great creative attitude, they produced the better works. For example, the Julius Pope, who made a very, wonderful Bitfall, installation. Where does he, be inspired? Making that sort of Bitfall is from the, the digital print. It's not, laser print. The digital print and make all the knot. When the words, coming out from the printer, all the dot. That line, he actually made a new algorithm by himself. So as an artist, but at the same time, a little bit of scientist, approach, he did it and he made his own, the machine and then produced, that sort of work in the condition of this kind of support. And he did it. That's why I think, for me, whenever I see some of the wonderful, video, or technology embedded artworks, I think, the good artist for me and the artists who use that technology as a little bit of, as a basic medium, but utilize it in a totally different way to create a new, language in visual art. If I can, thinking about Namjoon Park's work in 70s, and then, when he graduated from the, Tokyo Music University, university in music department, and then, when he started to use that sort of a medium as a, the video and the television channel, nobody actually saw it as a great, wonderful artwork that was very new, and nobody wants to actually take it as a serious work. But as the time goes by, that really, influence to the future generation. Now they can really accept that sort of experimental works, is a very important inspiration for the future artist. That's why, in that sense, I think we have to be very careful of, making a decision whether this or that is a good work or a bad work, because sometimes this spectacular, spectacular, the presence, from some great, technology media works, can really, looks much more better than any other, low-tech used, very subtle and philosophical approach works. So, that's what I am thinking.
Thank you. Well, let's park this now. Let's see whether Q&A, anyone in the audience has a view on how the art market is valuing digital art and high-tech art. But let's keep on this point of money, because we've heard you say that actually government funding of 50 million doesn't really go far enough. How can you keep up with endless technological advances, without breaking the bank? Where do you get your funding from teamLab to do those really big, complex projects?
Yeah, it's a teamLab. It's as I said, it's 400 people, and it's 98% is specialists, we called. It's a CG programmers, or it's architects, CG animators, or designer, and mathematicians, and we make a team and it's make output. So sometimes we make all our output is using the digital and technologies. So we have solution work for some big company like a Toyota or Honda, or it's like our government. And sometimes we're making a benefit, and we're using it as that benefit and making art. We sponsored ourselves. That is one way. And it's another one is we organize our exhibition itself. We didn't have to show, but we made some kind of the kids project. We're making some kids drawings on the papers, and we scan it, and it's become on aquariums or something like it's in a digital theme parks we are making, and we're using it like digital artworks, and it's made exhibitions, and it's for example 2 years ago we had an exhibition in Tokyo, and now we have a permanent exhibition in Singapore. That one is we organized, and we're selling a ticket too, and we keep on making, and it's a very bad part. We're in a business. We don't know how to sell, so we're that's the reason why we belong to the galleries about some art.
We're selling all day long because our model is 87% privately funded and 13% government funded. And although we look at you with great envy, I think there's also a moment when you have to raise 900 million Hong Kong dollars every year, 90 million Hong Kong dollars every year, that you actually think, how do I work most creatively in partnership with organizations that can give us the resources that we don't otherwise have? And so I think out of that innovation comes the spirit that we have to also be this hub that brings artists and organizations together. And at the moment, as I said, with the Zaha Hadid exhibition, it's Google that we've brought to the table with VR. And let me just tell you, in terms of VR, of course, we're still at the stage of the photogram. So in terms of the moving picture, I think what we'll be seeing in the galleries is still early stage, but we want to give it to the artists. We want to give it to the audience, and that's one way to do it. With PR Week, we'll be working with MIT. And so we're thinking, how do we work with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology to give PR Week something that a commercial gallery in Paris can't, similarly for the audience. And so I guess it's in those partnerships that we're really seeing the opportunity to go further than we could go ourselves. And in this process, it's interesting just to look back at the 1960s in America, the role that Bell Lab played in experiments in art and technologies. And so there you had Rauschenberg, there you had Warhol, not debilitated by the corporate environment, but actually trying under some great leadership at Bell Labs to create very humanized forms of technology. So I think it's nothing new. It's just a challenge, and yet it's our responsibility as art spaces that are not just committed to showing the art on the walls, to also bringing these partners together. And so if there are any partners out there who would like to work with the Serpentine galleries, we're always welcoming and thinking about how to create sustainable models so that art isn't charity, so that art is really a meaningful way to, as Andy Warhol said, good business is the best art.
Okay, I'm going to ask the panel one more question, and then it's over to you. So please get ready with your comments and questions. So thanks to technology, we are always on our devices and always on social media. Although I must note that this is a very well-behaved audience because not that many of them are on their iPhones. So social media, tell me, do you engage with bloggers? Do you engage with social media? Is it a good thing or is it a hindrance?
Well, in Korea, in our museum, it's a really, I have to be a little bit more critical. Under the basis of that kind of big budget, I actually joined to this museum 3 years ago, and there are many wonderful things, but unfortunately, we have only one press, person in charge, dealing with three, big museums. And then, that's why with a very, and also in our budget, the allocation, very small money only for the press. Of course, we are really, trying to enlarge our, marketing and press, budget, continuously. But, there is no other way, thinking of, the SNS, social media usage in our operation. Otherwise, we can't really reach even in Korea, because this is the only national museum, we really have to communicate with other regional, people, but at the same time, international audiences. That's why at the moment, we are setting up, we actually internally, setting up, a small group of, social media team, and then they are really working on every day, every moment of Facebook and Instagram. That's the only, two really important devices at the moment. And also, another, initiative, we did it 2 years ago. We made also very good partnership with the Dallas Museum in America, because the Museum Friend program, that's really, popular in America. So, providing some sort of tablet and then giving the audience, and then the audience, coming to the museum with that device. They can move around. Checking it out, the artwork, and getting some sort of the contents from there. So after, having that, MMCA Friends program, in cooperation with, getting a kind of, free technology from the Dallas Museum establishment, but, adapting, that sort of, way, really, we can, build up new list of, people, and then we can really, checking it out how the behavior of, museum experiences at the moment. So that's what we are doing.
I love that you mentioned the DMA. 2 years ago, I was living out in New Haven at Yale, and I was like a woman possessed, going across America and trying to figure out what were the most advanced technological opportunities, offerings anywhere from Bentonville to Dallas. And DMA was one of these museums that was really at the forefront. They were co-led by a director who really put digital first. And after gathering all this amazing data, there were so many points that, of course, one brought back to the gallery. And you do realize that a lot of us are doing this in our own silos. So somewhere there will also be a place to really share, because it's not that there's a holy grail. The Brooklyn Museum has a wonderful program, but ironically, it's where you stand in front of an artwork and you call a human and you say, can you please explain this challenging work of contemporary art to me? I thought it was Siri. I thought it was AI-led. But no, the innovation is that there is a human at the other end of the line, and you have your personal curator. I guess with that said, it's funny because as we come back to Hong Kong for Art Basel, with my hat on as chairman of Intelligence Squared, which Su-Mei so brilliantly helped found back in the day, the topic that we want to address is whether social media is killing art. And it's just a fun one to debate, because there is this question of whether social media is favoring the most photogenic artwork, and whether in some ways there is a disadvantage to the kind of slow work of Liu Fang, to the type of work that might not lend itself as well to the Instagram for the thousands of likers. So I think while we are, of course, actually we have a surprisingly resilient and big digital team. We've just hired from The Guardian those who do think about digital first. We're trying to attract those digital visitors, but we're also very cautious to stay true to the art. And at the end of the day, what keeps an art institution evolving and growing is the tremendous and extraordinary imagination of artists. And what we'd hate to ever do is to deaden that down.
Fantastic.
And,
Please.
Actually, our artwork is very, it's supported by social medias. And can I show one videos? Okay. Is it okay? But we need So actually, our artwork, sometimes it's more like experience. Well, we can see it's that one. Okay, so we show it. It's this installation on this summers. Just as we showed it, it's only 47 days. It's like 2 times bigger than this one. We filled up it's an LEDs. It's normally it's when you see the visual movies, it become 2Ds. But what we made is each dot is like X, Y, and Z. So you can be inside with a digital world. And you connect it to the Wi-Fi, and choose it's an element, and you just swipe, and immediately some kind of effect on the space. You're gonna make the space itself, and also this one we made with swimming pool. So you enter with waters. There is a lot of the koi. It's fish, and with sensing. So the koi is try to avoid the peoples. But sometimes it's like a koi, the audience touch the koi, and a koi gonna die, and it become flowers. And in the end, they try to make it a line, and it's as like it's an action paintings, but it's never happen at the same, because it's not videos, and it's always a new experience. This one is also we made some kind of lamp. It's filled up the rooms like this, and if you were in front of the lamp was lightings, and made a stroke all over the space. So our artworks. It's a little bit more like focused to the experience. So sometimes people took Instagrams, and people take it like Twitters and stuff, and it's spread on the internet. But it's always a difference. So it doesn't like destroy of the artwork itself. I make sense? Yes. So So for us, it's like social media is like very much supported.
Good, great. Okay, so if you have a question or comment, please would you stand up, say who you are, and the mic will get to you. Yes, in the front row.
Yesterday, David Elliott made an interesting comment with regards to the impact of technology giving us an exponential choice of artwork. So where curators suddenly have access to amazing artwork from all over the place. Clearly, when there's a selection of the work based on technology, you run the risk that Yana just mentioned of choosing photogenic works, right, which may not always be the best. But what David mentioned was that then the risk is that the curating, the selection process becomes like a box of chocolates where we can just choose the best flavor we have. And that in a way that could decrease or threaten the quality of exhibitions or the program of some institutions. What are your thoughts on that?
If I may jump in, I think for us that means that there may be one type of image that you Instagram yourself. For instance, artistic director Hans-Ulrich Obrist has this amazing Instagram feed, which has 300,000 followers, where he has artists write notes and comments. And every day, meeting tens of artists as he does, that becomes a very photogenic, as it were, memory and trace of handwriting, which might otherwise become erased. So I think there are very meaningful things you can do on Instagram. I love waking up in the morning and going through a feed, and I would never want to negate that pleasure because I think Instagram is a very feel-good place. With that said, I think it is the responsibility of curators and arts institutions to think how they can push beyond that. And as David says, of course, everything is easier, but maybe that makes everything harder as well, because you also have to think about what is that moment of discovery. When everybody is discovering everything all the time, what can you really offer them that is not the expected, as it were?
Okay, I know that, I'm sure, like me, we can't get more. We'd love to get more of these people. So can you tell us, are you bringing any projects to Hong Kong anytime soon?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
It's
When?
it's very much open. It is, if you called us, it's tomorrow. Maybe we're going to be here, and it's actually he's going to stay here until tomorrow. So it's like if you have any project, it's please it's tell to Kazu, and it's we're definitely going on.
Great, good.
We're
Yana,
very much
you're bringing Zaha Hadid, is that right?
We are in the process of discussion of a very ambitious project. So watch this space. The first project is Tuesday, the Parasite 20th Annual Gala. If you have not seen the auction lots, if you have not been online, please go and support the wonderful Parasite. And that is my unrealized project that will happen in 48 hours. And then hopefully there will be some more activities to come from Serpentine. We're all working very hard towards it. I couldn't think of a better place to have a bridge.
Jiyoon, any plans?
Unfortunately, not yet. Planned to do any project in Hong Kong. But I think, this is also a start. I think, Hong Kong, now really, engaging with the contemporary, art world. And then I think, through this event, I think we can do something in a very short future, hopefully.
Okay, so to sum up, what I loved about our panelists was they, I think, really enforced the point that being innovative is not about technology. And that it is very much an attitude, it's a mindset that embraces experimentation and endless creative possibilities. Hans Obrist, is how I pronounce that correctly, of the Serpentine once said, "I don't think we can predict or prescribe the future of art. Great art always surprises us and takes us where we expect it least. But I, for one, feel a bit more prepared for an uncertain future, thanks to this wonderful discussion." So please join me in thanking all our panelists for generously sharing their insights. And thank you to all of you as well. Thank you.